everyone, it's Red Phoenix, and I have a special surprise for you. Today, we're going to get to listen to a sneak peek of Enchant Me, the newest Brie coming out October 3rd. This is part 1 of the chapter titled Teasing the Parents. Doesn't that sound like fun? Enjoy!
Teasing the Parents. Sir led Brie down the stairs and through the secret corridors of the castle to a fancy dining room. As soon as they entered through the hidden door, Brie was greeted with enthusiastic applause and was tickled to see her friends already seated for breakfast. Sir guided her to the center table, where her parents and Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds were waiting anxiously for them. "Mom!" Brie cried as her mother stood and gave her a tight hug. Sir held out his hand to her father and said, "Good morning, Dad." Her father took his hand and then pulled him closer, giving him a heartfelt but awkward pat on the back.
"Yes, good morning to you both."
Sir then turned to Mr. Reynolds.
"Unc, it's good to see you this morning." "Likewise, Thane. You're looking well-rested, considering—"
Brie's father cleared his throat, and she had to hide her smile. When all were seated, the waitstaff brought the 6 of them a meal of simple, mildly sweet Italian pastries, local fruit, and thin slices of various meats. It was a delightful combination. Brie picked up a small pastry and stared at it hungrily. Just as she was about to consume it, her eyes were covered and she felt large boobs press against her shoulders. "Guess who?" a familiar female voice sang out. Mary?" Brie teased. "No, silly, it's me." Leah leaned over and whispered, "Dang it, girl! You were positively glowing when you entered the room. Are you already pregnant?" Brie's father perked up, having heard the tail end of Leah's comment, and audibly groaned. Reitzar strolled up to the group, slapping Sir hard on the back.
"My drug, I trust you made it count last night."
Leave it to the Russian to add fuel to the fire. Brie felt the trickle of Sir's cum between her legs and glanced at him, blushing heavily as she wiggled in her seat. He winked, knowing exactly what her movement meant.
"Don't tell me you're trying to get her pregnant already," Brie's father said, staring at Sir sternly. "She's just a child herself. Surely you plan on giving her time to live a little before you make her barefoot and pregnant."
In an uncharacteristic move, her mother took her dad's hand and squeezed it. "Dear heart, this is none of our business. Thane and Brie are married now. They're allowed to do whatever they want with their lives." She smiled sweetly as she reminded him, "We had Brianna not that long after we got married. Remember?" Brie's father snarled, but grabbed a piece of meat and chomped on it to avoid making another comment.
"Radost moya, I agree with Miss Taylor. You do look particularly radiant today."
He turned his attention back on Sir.
"If you should need anything at all, I am here for you, my drug."
Brie knew exactly what Reitzar was hinting at.
"Rest assured, old friend, I have things under control. We'll be leaving after breakfast to start the formal honeymoon."
"Where are you going, Brie?" Leah asked with interest. Brie looked at Sir and grinned as she shook her head. "Once again, I have no idea." Her father frowned.
"Really, Thane, this is too much. First you keep the wedding destination from her, and now the honeymoon too. Are you that much of a control freak, son?"
"It's not like that, Dad," Brie protested. "I lost a bet, so I agreed he gets to choose the honeymoon location." Her mother, trying to diffuse the situation, asked playfully, "What kind of bet, sweetheart?" Brie looked over at Sir with an embarrassed smile, unsure how to explain their aphrodisiac challenge. Before she could utter a word, her father barked, "Forget it. We don't want to know." Mrs. Reynolds piped in. I'm sure whatever Thane has planned is going to be lovely. Bree wrapped her arm around her husband's and purred. I'm sure of it. Seeing how uncomfortable her father was, Sir steered the conversation away from the current topic, choosing instead to comment on the history of the castle. It proved an agreeable distraction. But while he talked, Sir snuck his hand under the table so he could rub Bree's wet panties with his middle finger. It took everything in her not to react. Evil, evil man. Before Bree left to start their honeymoon, she made it a point to stop at every table to say her goodbyes, grateful for every person who had come to be a part of their big day. She smiled as she walked up to Master Anderson's full table, crammed with Italian women who'd seen him catch the bouquet from the night before. I see you're not starved for company, she teased. Master Anderson flashed a charming grin.
No, I'm not, and I plan to sample as much Italian cuisine as I can before I return to America.
He looked the women over with a lustful eye, and the table twittered in delight. Bree smiled. Maybe the one is here at this table. He shrugged with a chuckle.
Who knows?
So, will you be in L.A. when we return from our honeymoon?
That's the plan.
Great. Then we can meet for dinner and catch up.
It would be a pleasure, young Bree. I look forward to hearing about your adventures.
She winked at him. As will I yours. Bree moved over to the next table with Baron, Captain, and Candy. How long are you guys planning on staying in Italy? Baron and Captain glanced at each other before Baron answered.
2 more days, and then we head back to begin laying down the foundation for a new project.
Bree slid into an empty chair, curious to hear more. What kind of project? Again the 2 men looked at each other, but this time Captain answered.
It's too soon to say yet, Mrs. Davis, but it's something that Baron and I are both passionate about.
And me, Candy piped in. Captain put his hand on hers and nodded.
Yes, pet.
He turned to Bree again.
The 3 of us share the same vision, but we didn't realize it until we had a chance to talk last night during the reception.
Bree clasped her hands to her chest in excitement. I can only imagine what it might be, but with the 3 of you involved, it's certain to be a success.
One can only hope, Baron replied in a deep, mysterious tone. I was serious when I asked you and Sir Davis to visit my home on your return. We should have much to discuss by then.
Oh my, you have my curiosity running rampant now, Bree confessed. Candy's eyes sparkled when she told Bree, I can't wait to share it with you. Captain cautioned,
Until we have things in place, it's best not to speak of it.
I understand, Bree answered respectfully, even though she was dying to know more. I'd better continue to make the rounds.
Yes, Baron agreed. I know several people who are anxious to speak to you.
He nodded towards Tono and Autumn, who were sitting at the next table. Bree politely excused herself and made her way over to them. How was your dance? She asked, sitting beside Tono. Autumn blushed. I can't believe you guilted me onto the floor, Bree. Bree raised her eyebrow. So, you did dance. The grin on Autumn's lips let Bree know it had been a welcome challenge. Tono smiled as well.
Autumn is graceful on the dance floor, despite her many reservations.
Shaking her head, Autumn replied, The only thing graceful about me was you. Bree chuckled. Yes, I do remember the first time Tono and I danced together. I only had to look in his eyes and follow his lead to feel confident on the dance floor. That's exactly what I experienced last night, Autumn agreed, looking at Tono shyly. Wren's a wonderful dancer.
It takes the right partner, Autumn,
Tono insisted. Bree was filled with joy. It was easy to see the attraction the two had for each other. So, will you be staying or heading back to the States right away? When Tono glanced at Bree, she was captivated by the feeling of serenity radiating from him.
We agreed it would be good to stay for a week and explore this country. There is much history and culture to be found here. It'd be a shame to miss an opportunity to enjoy it.
Italy is beautiful, isn't it? Bree agreed. Sir has introduced me to a few of his favorite places, but there's still so much to see. I think I'm falling in love with Italy. Hopefully your husband won't get jealous, Autumn teased. Bree giggled, whispering, I think he's already in love with her, so it'll kind of be a threesome for us. Autumn blushed, joining in her giggles. Tono smiled, obviously enjoying the interaction between them.
So, where are you headed for your honeymoon, Mrs. Davis?
Bree loved her new title. It was so much sexier than plain old Miss Bennet. Truthfully, I have no idea. My husband has been as mysterious about the honeymoon as he was about the wedding. Autumn smiled. Mr. Davis does like to surprise you.
He enjoys keeping her on her toes,
Tono explained to Autumn. Returning his gaze to Bree, he added,
You surprised him at the coloring ceremony, and I believe he remains bound and determined to repay you for that. I don't believe a single person there expected your choice that night.
Bree looked into Tono's chocolate brown eyes, feeling a twinge of guilt. Even though the two of them had moved on since the coloring ceremony, she couldn't help wondering if her wedding had rekindled the pain he'd felt that night.
It's clear. You two were fated,
Tono assured Bree with a gentle smile. She reached out, touching his hand. No words necessary. Autumn glanced from Tono to Bree with a look of concern. For the first time, Bree sensed jealousy coming from her friend, and she immediately put both hands in her lap. Autumn's reaction surprised her, but it also hinted to the depth of feeling Autumn had for Tono, and that pleased Bree. She stood up and gave Autumn a quick kiss on the cheek, whispering, "Have fun in Italy together." Bowing formally to Tono, she stated, "May you find your heart's desire during your travels." A slight blush colored his cheeks.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. I'm certain our travels will be enlightening.
Bree left the couple to seek out Reitzar and found Leah happily chatting away with him at a crowded table.
Wasn't that fun getting to visit all our old friends again? Next week, I'll be sharing the second half of that wicked little chapter. This was Enchant Me, coming out October 3rd. You can pre-order it on any of the major online bookstores. The audiobook, narrated by Pippa Jane, will be coming out October 3rd. As always, you can reach me at redphoenix69, be it Twitter, Facebook, or my website. Till next week.
Stay with me.